Um, yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is the Consensus Study Group meeting, as we always do, on Saturdays and Thursdays. And on Saturdays, we discuss unification, the unification of Africa, focusing on the practicalities of the liberation, the unification, and development of Africa. For Africa to be totally liberated and developed, then it requires, we believe, its unification. And its unification will totally liberate us. And this is the practice aspect of the ideas of Kwame Nkrumah, or what some would call radical Pan-Africanism, of which there are three types: the liberal version, the conservative version, and the progressive version. On Thursdays, we discuss philosophy and ideology. And the emphasis on Thursdays are for our ideological clarity, because as tools, we need to be sharp in order that we can wield the shield in order to defend ourselves against the arrows of the enemy, against our intellects, our physical bodies, and also our spiritual perspectives. And to do that, we need to be armed to the teeth with the right ideology and the right philosophy. And that's what we do on Thursdays. And then on Saturdays like these days, we apply what we have learned to the liberation, unification, and development of Africa. So welcome to all of us here, all of us who are here. We hope others will join us. So welcome, Mr. Myra. Welcome, Mr. Gonza. We haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you here. I know you're working very hard on Connect and connecting all the dots, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So well done, brother Kwame Gonza, for all the hard work you're doing with the Connect organization. Sister Tapua, welcome, based in Zimbabwe, helping us also to get clarity all the time. Thank you very much. And then we have our brother Ras Spila, who one could argue is an expert on the, if you like, the astrological and astronomical philosophy or aspect of the Dogon people, who it is believed are the inheritors or the descendants of the ancient Egyptians who were observing the skies for over 29,000 years. So that's our brother Ras. Sister Shireen, based in the UK, our dear sister, who is also very, very incisive and continues to contribute to our thoughts and practice. So welcome, all of you. We hope, or we think others will join us anyway. And those who don't join us will listen to our videos, which they do. We now have over 100, I believe, Brother Pigeon, over 100 videos on philosophy, on ideology, on healing, on Kiswahili, and on Saturdays as well, on our Saturday sessions. So welcome, Brother Coco, or just welcoming everyone. So welcome, Brother Coco, our brother from Lesotho. Yes, very, very deep in thought, able to bring the traditional African perspective, philosophical and ideological perspective to our thinking. Thank you so much. Yeah, so welcome everyone. We shall, as we do on Saturdays, we shall listen to the news from every aspect of the continent and diaspora. And as you can see, all of us here, some of us live in the diaspora, some of us live on the continent. It used to be a dream of ours that consensusism is rooted in the continent. And with the entrance of Brother Pigeon introduced to us, you remember, by Mr. Gonza, and we have really advanced. And not only are we rooted in the continent, but we have also a lot of people joining us from the continent and the African Caribbean, like Brother Joseph here, who is based in Grenada. So we can say that consensusism has now an international dimension, in fact, global dimension. Anyway, as I was saying, on Saturdays we discuss the unification of Africa, and we hear everyone. We listen to everyone, so they share the news with us as they see it from wherever they are. The purpose of the news is for us to get a sense of where we are as a continent. Essentially, are we advancing towards unification, or are we what we essentially are interested in? To what extent are we close to unification, and to what extent are we not? So the time is 7:12. We shall have the discussion, we shall hear from everyone, and then in the process, we hope that Sister Chizomo will join us because she has a presentation on Malawi, which she wants to share with us. So let's proceed. Brother Pigeon,
yes,
if it's okay with you, you can proceed to chair the news sharing. And if Sister Chizomo comes, then hopefully if she's here, we can start her presentation by 7:45 for about half an hour.
Okay.
We continue this discussion. Is Africa unified? Will it be unified? If so, when? Thank you, Brother Pigeon.
Thank you, and welcome all who are with us here. We do appreciate your continuous attendance, your support, and all that you do. Actually, you are the reason why we are here. We keep moving, and we keep expecting you to come every day. And we're learning a lot. I can say personally, I've been able to learn a lot in terms of what's going on, and be able to look at what's going on in this continent, than the angle, with another dimension, and even I myself with more ideas and more knowledge. Like from Thursday class now, I know the difference between the rule of thumb, and I know the difference between the general rule and egalitarian society. So I'm building up my knowledge daily, and I think it's something I'm proud of and happy of, because now I can engage in my discussions, and when I share my presentation or my thinking in various platforms, I engage in some interviews. I'm able to bring in rule of thumb, able to bring in egalitarian society, general rule, and be able to look at what's going on in the continent with another dimension. That's the beauty of our Thursday class, that it gives us the tool and the knowledge to look at the continent and even share our thinking on what's going on. So basically, we'll start with the updates across the continent, especially sharing news in regards to help us look at the forces at play in the continent and whether we are moving towards the unification, out of the unification. And permit me just to start with Kenya, as I'll allow other people to come in as we move along. But I know Kenya has been on the headline for so many countries, not only in Kenya, but across the globe. And this is the beauty of how a revolution, or something like a revolution, can inspire the movement across the globe. The last time something either took place and it was discussed heavily was during the so-called coups that took place in the Sahel region, where everybody was thinking of coups across the continent, and the more coups that were coming up urgently. So today, Kenya is experiencing a protest by the younger generation, are pushing for or against the neocolonial policies, especially the IMF policies in terms of taxation and other activities that are being taken in by the president of this Republic of Kenya. So yes, the president actually decided to fire his cabinet out of pressure and out of demand that the Gen Zs gave to him. So he fired his cabinet. He was only left himself, the deputy and the prime cabinet secretary, the three of them. He also fired the attorney general. The members of parliament have been moving around to ask for apologies for voting for the finance bill, which appeared to be a US-backed bill. In fact, when the bill was being discussed in the parliament, the ambassadors from Western countries were seated in our parliament overseeing the bill. And after that, they went to State House to discuss the president. Despite of IMF getting warnings that Kenyans were to object the bill, they still advised President Ruto to go ahead with the finance bill. Now that has happened. We broke into the parliament some 2 weeks ago, but now today more bodies have now been exhumed. Bodies have been found of many young people who were killed during the protest because the police officers were killing and taking the bodies so that you cannot account for how many people are dead. They were dumping the bodies somewhere, and yesterday 8 female bodies were found, and more bodies are still being found in some other sites and in the city. Bodies believed to be of people who were assassinated during the protest. Some people are still being abducted by the police officers as a follow-up to the protest. But generally, the opposition leader came to work with the government, the president, and they're trying to call for a government of national unity, which is a government of the opposition and the government of the opposition and the national government or the ruling party to work together. But the younger people told the opposition leader to stay away of the revolution. They want the president to actually actualize all the things that they want, which include the IMF was to go, removing the position of CSS, now firing all cabinet, and more demands are coming in. We need accountability for resources that are being used. So basically, this is the struggle, but we are also seeing symptoms of the revolution being hijacked by a majority of people who are either middle class or people who are either interested politically. And there's a more pushing for Ruto to go so that either we gum with the new government, but we are seeing people who are not younger generations coming in, trying to push for the same change, but to think that they have ulterior motive. They want the president to go so that they can replace the president at the expense of the younger generation. We as the younger generation are also thinking, how do we organize ourselves to provide alternative leadership so that we can take over? Because the president might go, but will that make the success of our revolution? Or do we have to organize ourselves properly so that we take over and we have an alternative leadership that can take over in case this leadership is down? And how do we put policies that ensure that any leader elected, even if it is us, are accountable directly to the people, not to the parties and the political classes? So basically, that's what's going on in Kenya. The Inspector General of the police resigned the other day. The police officer in charge of prisons also resigned, and there are more changes being made, even though they were actually involved in the mass killing of the people. Now they are starting to resign. So that's the update from Kenya. Permit me to go to other updates across the continent, unless there's any question in regards to that. Okay. Silence means maybe there's no question. Okay. Brother Joseph? And
Yeah,
Brother Joseph, as you ask from Kenya, start by giving us update from Caribbean, then ask the question from Kenya, so that we don't take more time.
No, but I may not be so accurate about from the Caribbean, except that what I could tell you, the imperialist forces are chipping in to say they will be helping in the restoration or in the rebuilding of the various islands that have been impacted by the hurricane. When you look at the character of what they want to give and what they say they're helping, is all this new colonial, World Bank, anything to do with the old structure, which is not really suitable for us. I don't think the authorities in the Caribbean have a clue how to respond to such, difficulty that we find ourselves in. So Uncle Sam and his brothers and so on are coming in. I mean, they're having a field day, I would say, on the basis of promising to help. But I was going to ask you a question in relation to Kenya, because I mean, the news we get on this side of the world can be distorted. Because on the one hand, the impression you get is that, okay, that the revolution is coming true. On the other hand, the impression is also that there's confusion in Kenya. There was actually I put it up on my profile, WhatsApp profile. There was a, what do you call it, a placard that says Kenya and Haiti is not for sale. So I'm asking the question, in the light of all that is happening, how will the intention or the decision to to send troops to Haiti be affected by what is happening in Haiti now? Would it be the whole one piece of news I read or heard is that notwithstanding the arrival of the Kenyan forces in Haiti, they have not been able to quell the violence or so-called violence in Haiti. What do you say about that? Thanks.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just to add to that quickly, is that the placard you are referring to was actually carried by one of our friends. In fact, he's from Kenya and he do attend this class sometimes. The guy you see with that placard written that Kenya and Haiti are not for sale. He's a member of this class from Kenya. It's called Comrade CLL. Is now being followed by the intelligence department. They wanted that to arrest him. He was in court with another friend called Julius Kamau. If you've seen video circulating from Kenya where two gentlemen were in the court and they were speaking against the judge and they were refuting the judge. Those are two of my good friends and comrades. And they are the people who had those placards. One written colonialism never ended, another one written Kenya and Haiti are not for sale. Basically, what they are expressing is that they know and they understand that whatever is taking place in Haiti is actually the Western influence thing. The same thing with what is taking place in Kenya. And that's why they clearly just send a message that we two countries are not for sale. And yes, the deployment of the police officers in Haiti took place some weeks ago. Over 400 people went. I know two police officers who are in that mission in Haiti. I know they went, and we interacted before they went. But yes, there are issues based on also the accountability of the money that was given by the US, how it was used, and the police officers are also not given the amount they were supposed to be given before they leave to Haiti, so some money have disappeared. But also the Gen Zs want to take that to be part of the discussion they want to talk about. They want to push for the government to bring back people from Haiti. Remember, it was part of their demands that the mission in Haiti be stopped. So we don't know if the president will respond to that, but that's part of the demand the younger people are pushing, that Kenya must withdraw their police officers from Haiti. Even though they are sharing that news that the Kenyan police officers have helped to restore peace a bit by reclaiming, I don't know, an hospital or a school somewhere that was taken by the gang, the so-called gang, and now they are regaining those positions back to the government. And we saw the new prime minister, I don't know who went there to supervise that. But there are also news of police officers being seen from Kenya guarding the US embassy. So there are mixed reactions, but Kenyans and this younger generation want to take up the same, as I've indicated, it was part of the demand they gave to the government. So I think that's okay, brother Coco. Okay, we can discuss this later, brother Joseph, if you need. Just put your question probably in the chat because there's more updates you need to get. I'll come back to you later. Brother Coco, in regards to updates from where you are and if there's any question you want to raise. Start with the updates first.
Oh, I am based in the UK. Nothing much here except, as you know, we have a new government now. Last week, they were taking roles. They were taking up positions. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it feels like it's going to change from how the Conservatives were running this government or this country. One of those, importantly, is that the Rwanda asylum, the policy to take asylum seekers from here to Rwanda is dead in the water, as they always say. Apart from that, we know that Keir Starmer has approved the use of the UK missiles to hit bases within Russia. So I don't know. Looks like with regards to the war in Ukraine, the Labour government is going to maintain the same position, if not worse, of the Conservative outgoing government. With regards to Lesotho, not much is happening, except I've heard there is an incident which can go under the radar, in that the Prime Minister's helicopter was used to ferry a large cross, which they are going to put it by the parliament in Maseru. As you know, Lesotho is a very high country. The parliament is overlooking the city, and now they're going to put the cross right where the Christian cross, I mean, and it's actually rubbing up, it's going up the wrong way with people who believe that that country is not the Christian country. So we are yet to hear more information with regards to that. But people I am in their cycles are really annoyed that most people take for granted that Lesotho is a Christian country. and forget that there are people who don't believe in religion. So the question I had for you on Kenya was the IMF. What role are they playing in this? And the second one is it the middle class who are really driving this Gen Z revolution, or is it everyone? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your updates. Quickly, is that the IMF is believed to have drafted the bills and the policy tax proposals. You see, I think the IMF is trying to put what they call structural adjustment program that they used to put the subs all over, and they were trying to propose a reduction or slimming government expenses and something like that, raising more revenue. And IMF do not actually support much of the public services, so they don't want much of government spending on parastatals that are for public interest. They want more of privatized government. They want to think of running a government like a private company. So that's basically what IMF is trying to put to us, and we are objecting it. Of course, the IMF have been silent. They wrote a message the other day. I think I saw it and I circulated it. They're saying they're monitoring closely what's going on in Kenya, and they're claiming that based on the reactions of Kenyans, they might make Kenya access to more loans be very hard, because they are finding either Kenya is not complying enough in regards to that. That's the statement they gave recently in regards to Kenya. In regards to the revolution, there are two faces of people here. That the ordinary young people went to the street to protest against the finance bill, and there's now a middle class. We have the millennials and the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs just went to the street to protest the cost of living, the finance bill. But the millennials have also joined to expand it further from just finance, moving forward to accountability issues. Nobody's particularly giving money to fund, even though the president claimed that the revolution or demonstrations in Kenya are being funded by the foreign powers. He has not disclosed who is that foreign power, but we believe he's the one who is funded by the foreign power, and it's very clear to all of us. So if there's anybody funding the revolution, it's him, by his actions of his masters. And that's the positions Kenyans are taking. So basically, that's what it is. There's no money being donated somewhere to give people to go to the street. People use their own resources to go to the street. And there's still demonstration coming this Tuesday, a mother demonstration that might also lead to more serious casualties this coming Tuesday. Let me get to Sister Myra. In case you have any question, just drop in the chat, or we'll come back to you later, because we are also having, we are running out of time. Brother Kwame will come a bit also to try to help us analyze also some of the news in regards to the context of our liberation and unification. Brother Kwame?
Yeah, Brother PG, we're not running out of time. We are on time. When it's 7:45, Sister Chizumu here will present on Malawi. And then after that, we'll continue the discussion. So we are right on time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister Myra? Any updates from your side?
There's no updates with regards to unity. Only an observation that I can share is, with everything that's been happening in Kenya, I've noticed there is an interest from across the continent, and even from what Brother Joseph has shared, even further than the continent. So I think there's an interest within melanated people's communities in what is happening in Kenya. And that tells me, I don't know whether that's a sign of a rise in consciousness or awakening among
Sister Myra, you are frozen a bit. You are frozen, Sister Myra. Sister Myra, work on your audio and then come back. You're a bit frozen. We can't hear you clearly. Yes, what I can say is that there's a lot of awakening and there's a lot of information with the Kenyan youth. I think people say information is power. So even they have, I saw yesterday they have even accessed the website of IMF. They have gone to the history of Kenyan debt in IMF portal. They know what Kenya has borrowed from IMF, what are the implications. So there's a lot of information circulating. They know even the properties owned by the politicians, what they took wrongly, what they took rightly, where they are, and they're calling for everything to be returned back. They are following every leader. They want them to account for whatever resources they have. So there's a lot of information that with the younger generation, with social media, they've been able even to track the performance of member of parliament in the parliament, those who have been speaking, those who have been silent. They've been tracking all the educational past records, and they're even coming up with People's Pledge that leaders must sign to be accountable to them. So there's a lot of information that's available to the Kenya generation based on also some of being literate enough, and also there's a lot of technology and use of internet in Kenya at a higher rate compared to some other part of Africa, and internet is also cheap. So these are the tools they are using. Sister Chisomo, no, Brother Kwame Godza, is there anything from Uganda and maybe where you are, which you can report to us? Or even across the continent? Brother Gonza?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you everyone who has spoken. Indeed, the events which are happening in Kenya, let me first comment on that, because that concerns us all, all as a people, as a Black people, as African people, because what the Kenyan people are going through is the same thing which the other Africans are going through, the brutal nature of neocolonialism. But fortunately in Kenya, the people have been able to rise up and resist it, which is of course very important for us. Maybe just one more thing which I would like to add on that. The people who are demonstrating, maybe Brother Pigeon, Comrade Pigeon, if you are close and you are you are close to where the action is, the biggest job here now is to bring these people together, to bring the the people who are at least on the forefront together, and then the different groups together. That's the biggest job that even we have in the Pan-African world, is to mobilize all of us, our forces, and put them together and direct them towards something which is critical, which is clear, because we have to be very clear in our demands and where we want to go, so that the elites will not again come and just exchange hands, like what we are seeing that President Ruto wants to put in Raila and his group as if they are the ones who started this. And this can be a problem if you are not clear, if the people are not clear about where they are going. So it needs at least some Pan-African hand in there to direct the revolution and where it is going, and even to encourage, to raise the voice higher, to encourage other African countries to take on the same, to call them as to the Gen Zs to have a way of directing that energy, and to sit to stand on platforms and say, Nigeria, we are waiting for you guys because our continent is sinking. So this would give it a continental nature, so that it is not just focused on Kenya. And of course, the people in Nigeria too, the young people would hear, and then South Africa and stuff like that. I think this is very important. Yeah, so the only thing which I know that is happening in Uganda, especially, President Museveni has almost decimated the whole opposition. But of course, also the opposition, which we have, has been having a challenge, that in its seeking of help, or in its mobilization, even though it has had support, it has been somehow corrupted, that a lot of them have been corrupted. They are looking for money instead of standing for what is really, is a representative, instead of them being representatives of the grievances of the people against the government. In the Ugandan space, I see it as having a lot of contradiction, because on one hand, President Museveni presents himself as a Pan-Africanist when he's not really a Pan-Africanist. But at the same time, he does certain things which you see that, okay, these things, they warrant somebody to be credited. So that there's contradictions in that particular society, and particularly in that personality. But the opposition also has not shown that it is going in the right direction, for which we as Pan-Africans will be proud of, because all their energy, they are getting it from the West. And so this becomes very, very difficult to, even to know how to deal with this kind of society, which is very sophisticated like this. But so far, the old man has been able to overpower the opposition, and almost clear it off in the country, that it doesn't have support. Is the opposition is fighting against each other. And of course, inside the opposition itself, there's the struggle, power struggles, that people want positions and stuff like that. Everyone wants to be at the forefront. So there's those challenges there. In Ghana too, we have a challenge that the government has really been very successful at selling out of the country and almost destroying the whole economy, which is very unfortunate. It has teamed up also with the IMF, and they are imposing draconian tax policies on the population. Last year, they signed a deal of $3 billion. But as you know, the working of the IMF, they have been dispensing that money slowly, 300 million, 330, as they watch and monitor if you are implementing the taxes which they told you to increase and impose on the people. And so while the people in Kenya have resisted, in Ghana there has been just some little resistance. It has not been very elevated like what we saw happened in Kenya. So basically, that is what is happening in Ghana, and the campaigns are ongoing. The same man who was the leader of the economic management team in Ghana, who is the vice president currently, is the one again who wants to stand and be the president, and he's been carrying out the campaigns. The former president, who is President John Mahama, who belongs to a different political party, also is contending. These are the two leading contenders right now, and they're coming from the two traditional parties, which are all neoliberal parties, and which you can say that they belong to the West. So that is a big challenge also, that the revolutionaries on the ground are also figuring out. How do we break this neo-colonial stronghold and misleading of the country? And Ghana, of course, as a beacon of Pan-Africanism, almost has been disgraced by the actions of President Akufo-Addo. We have seen him in ECOWAS. We have seen him in his utterances. So that's the direction in which the country is continuing to go. The ownership of the means of production is in the means of foreigners, whether you're talking about the energy sector, whether you're talking about the finance sector, all these are inside the hands. And the mining, the major forex exchange earners of the country are in the hands of foreigners, and mostly American companies, Switzerland, or if you talk about the cocoa industry. So Americans in the energy industry and the financial industry, Europeans are the ones who are dominating that industry. So the French also are playing a part in the energy industry. So these are the challenges the country has. In the mining, all of it, almost Americans, Canadians. So the things are not really moving in the right direction, but they're not talking about in the campaigns themselves. The two political parties are not talking about the restructuring of the economy, solid restructuring of the economy. They are rather talking about things which are insignificant. I will do this, I will do that, I will remove this tax. They are really not talking about the core problems that are affecting the country, that we are going to restructure the financial sector, make sure that the ownership of the financial sector to the African people in Ghana becomes significant, or the mining sector, that we are going to renegotiate the oil contracts or renegotiate the gold, mining contracts, nothing of that sort. So in all, they want to continue to implement, the ones who are campaigning to become presidents, they want to continue the implementation.
Okay, Brother Kwame, I think you've either come off or you muted yourself, but we are having around 3 minutes, or we have around 5 minutes for Jitomo to start the presentation.
Yeah,
yes, brother.
Yeah, when Mr. Gonza is here, it's best you say Mr. Gonza so that people don't confuse myself and him. Yeah. So
okay.
Mr. Gonza, so that it's clear to people.
Yeah.
You can't call it Kwame, but add the Gonza so that people know it's not me you are referring to. Thanks.
So we are about to start the presentation from Mr. Chisomo. Brother Kwame?
As Mr. Gonza finished,
I don't know.
he just needs to unmute himself and.
No, yes, I did. I'm done, please. Thank you.
Oh, you're done. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, brother Pigeon, continue. It's 5 minutes to Sister Chizomo's presentation.
Okay.
So we can
Let me
continue.
take one. Let me take one more update.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to Sister Tapua from
Hello,
Zimbabwe.
everyone.
Hello.
Yes. I've been out in the wilderness. No internet. I was out in the rural area somewhere, so I've really been out of touch. Except to say that I'm looking at the the Kenyan goings on with envy, because here we've just had a publication done by people who research on misappropriation of tenders, because the government has this policy of awarding tenders and then giving people more than 3/4 of the value of the tender to help them deliver, but they never deliver. So we're hit with a whole list of who's got what, when, and people are just so resigned and embedded in just trying to make a living. It's hard to plan here. You want to do some work, the internet is off. You want to do some work, there's no electricity. You want to do some work, there's no water. So it's just chaos. And it's sometimes it's really wearing people down. We're also preparing for the SADC conference in August, where the Zimbabwean leader is supposed to be inaugurated as the next chairperson. And there's just tension in the air because people don't believe that after the elections and SADC had questioned the legitimacy of this guy, they now want to make him the chairperson of SADC. I don't know. It's just that people really feel resigned.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I can say for now.
Okay, thank you. To South Africa, Brother Sam Motsau, I know your party joined the Grand National Unity, the PAC of Azania. Any update in regards to how that is going on or anything in South Africa? Brother Raspal will also share.
Thanks, Brother Peggy. Members, I think in South Africa currently the government of national unity is going on unabated. This weekend, they are holding what is called the Cabinet Lekotla, where they will sit with the president and all cabinet ministers and come with what they call priorities of the government of national unity and the program of action for the 7th administration. So it is holding on despite, you know, that it was 11 political parties that joined the government of national unity, but last week or this past week, one of the last born of the GNU, a party that joined on the 11th hour, the United African Transformation Party, has now withdrawn because according to them, during the negotiations, the ANC were not forthright with them, and in terms of the agreements, they were not even issued any ministerial post in the cabinet, and they were not even given any political, what they call committees in the National Assembly to chair. So because of that, they feel they were let down and they've withdrawn. So we don't know after Lekota what will be the of national unity. I think another aspect that members would be interested in is to know that in the new cabinet, we have a new foreign minister, and the foreign minister is one of the youngest ministers that the ANC government had. He is a former Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola. He is now going to be our foreign minister. And I think many people only saw him internationally when he was part of the South African delegation to the International Court of Justice when they were presenting the case against Israel. He is a dynamic fellow. We hope he will manage to steer, but you know, he's going into a bigger post where somebody like the former minister Naledi Pandor, who was a very outstanding minister. We don't know if Lamola will be able to fit quickly into those steps. I think that is the other matter that I would like to report. Inside the country, I think the major issue is we know that the former national speaker of the National Assembly in the 6th administration has already. Hello?
Yeah, just wind up. We want to bring Sister Chisomo in.
That's fine. I think those are the major matters that I would have loved to report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Brother Kwame. Those who haven't given their updates, we will give you updates after the presentation. Brother Kwame, maybe you take over the presentation part.
Thank you, Brother Pigeon. The question that we should all be asking ourselves is, all that we have heard from South Africa to the Caribbean, how are Haiti, all that, how are these things, or how are they together advancing Africa towards unification? Listen to South Africa, it looks like they're not interested because they are busy sharing posts to govern the neo-colonial territory called South Africa. I don't see in there any indication that they are really even interested in the rest of the continent. I might be wrong. Brother Sam will correct me later if he thinks I am. Sister Chizomo, are you ready for us?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay, so at this point, you don't try, you do the presentation. So I think you will present for half an hour without being interrupted. Is that correct?
No, I prefer people to ask questions and have a little bit of
we will do that
discussion
after we'll do that after your presentation.
Okay.
So you present what you want to present to us.
So can I share my screen?
You can share whatever you like.
Have I got access?
I believe you should. If not, Brother Pigeon will make your co-host so you can share. And so you present. How long will you need?
Oh, I don't know.
Half an hour? Is half an hour enough?
Could be, yeah.
If it's not, you can always have more time, yeah? So do half an hour initially. That will take you to, it's now 12 to 7, 12 to 8. So that means about 18 minutes past 8. Yeah, let's say 8:20. Yeah, if that is not enough, we'll give you more time. Thank you. You ready, brother? So you can share your screen. We can't see it yet.
No.
So whilst we are waiting for it,
how do I go into this now? SharePoint.
Yeah. If not, send it to brother Peter or myself, and we can display it for you, and you just go through it. Yeah.
Can you see that?
Not yet. Give it some time, a few seconds to come through.
Have you picked the option down there written share screen? Have you picked it?
Yeah, I've picked screen. Let me try again.
I'll share it with me so that I can project it, as Brother Kwame can still do.
Hold on.
That's why we always advise that those who want to present share their slides with us. That way we save a lot of time. And also, if for some reason they can't share from their end,
you still can't see it.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Is it a
where am I sending it?
Is it a PowerPoint presentation?
Shall I send it to WhatsApp?
You can, yes. Is it a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, send it to WhatsApp immediately.
Yeah, send it to WhatsApp, and we can. Yeah, send it to WhatsApp. We can pick it up.
There you go.
And share it for you.
Brother Coco had a question he wanted to ask while you're doing this, if you want.
Brother Coco always has questions. So.
That's good, isn't it?
Brother Coco, yeah, proceed. Whilst we sort this out.
Can you see it, Brother Pigeon?
I can't see it. I can't see it in the WhatsApp.
No. I've sent it to WhatsApp to
which one?
Pigeon.
Pigeon's WhatsApp. Okay. All right. Brother Pigeon, if you found it, share it with me as well, so that we have both support. Yeah, support here on both accounts. In case yours goes down as well, I can also share. So send it to my WhatsApp as well, Brother Pigeon. Sister Chizomo, it's on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen.
Yes, I believe that's the one you want. Yeah.
Okay, that's the one. But I can't move it. So that's
you can't move it, but
okay.
Brother Pigeon will move it for you.
All right. So what I've done is because there's just so much going on in Malawi at the moment. It's so fast. So I thought I'd just do a past, present, and future. How we got here, where we're at the moment. So Malawi independence in 1964, and before that it was the Queen and whoever else. Then Kamuzu Banda comes in from the diaspora. And becomes the prime minister under the Queen, with Glyn Jones as the governor. So during Kamuzu, the interesting thing with Kamuzu, who they called the dictator, I'd rather use authoritarian, he would tell us that these people are no good. So he would tell us that if anybody offends you, you have to report to him, and he will deal with the person. So we saw a lot of them being deported and everything. If they did very little thing or reported, they had all their reporting companies there. If they reported anything that he doesn't like, that's the end of it. Eventually, they were all gone little by little by little. And then come elections, then independence happens, and then we become a republic. He becomes the president and not the prime minister. So the structures that were there before, he doesn't follow them. He creates his own with other people, creates his own with a new constitution, and he becomes the life president. So life president under one party system, and that's how it was for about 30 years. But during all that time, like I said, he taught us that they're no good. If they offend you, let us know and they'll be deported. Culturally, everything else was going well, apart from when there's a political problem, then we would hear about so-and-so has been arrested or so-and-so has been killed. They say they were feeding people to crocodiles. I have no evidence of that, but that's what we're told. So then, because it was going on too much, people decided we need democracy. But how do you topple him out of power? That's when this Muluzi, Bakiri Muluzi, then decided just to do something like what people might call a coup, but they didn't call it a coup. So it was just dismantling all structures, bringing in the army to dismantle all structures, all the forces that he had, like the Young Pioneers. There was a Youth League who were really, really harassing people. They would go into homes, just abusing people. So they were all arrested. They all had to take off their uniforms, and that was the end of it. Then we had the referendum for multi-party. That's when we started multi-party system in 1994, calling it democracy. But there's this thing about this democracy that we're now questioning. What is it? And in what form are we applying it in Africa? In what form are we applying it in our countries? Is it really, do we understand it? Are we applying it in the correct manner? Do we understand it? Do we need it? That's a discussion for another day. But that's what it was. So they were told, oh, under democracy, you can do what you like. and people did what they liked, which means go into offices, uproot everything that was in your office, your chair, your phone, take it home, go to the state house, vandalize. They looted everything that was in there where this guy was living. So people just started doing their own thing, building shacks in the high streets and putting markets wherever. That was the beginning of another problem. Things were just being sold, factories being sold, right? We had factories, all these things people are saying, oh, we need to start manufacturing, we need to be production countries. We were, but some people came. The problem with politics, well, I should talk about Malawi, politics in Malawi. Whatever the previous leader built, the one coming destroys everybody, everything to make the other one look bad. And then they want to say, I am going to build my own. And then they find they can't build anything. They can't build anything. So that went on and on. His vice was Kasim Chilumpa. And that's another problem that happens in my country. When a president has his vice, for some reason, they don't get along. I don't know what goes on inside. People seem to say the people surrounding him will be telling him bad things about the vice. In the end, they can't work together. In the end, the guy is arrested. And it seems to happen with almost every president. If we move on. So all those things destabilizes the peace in the country, the politics in the country. So the guy, this one, number 3 and number 4, their political party was called UDF. So he had done 10, because it's supposed to be 5-year term, 5-year term, 2 terms only. So he wants now a 3rd term, and there's an uproar over 3rd term situation. And then it's okay, so he decides, okay, I'm going to appoint somebody to become the president instead. That's when he brings in this guy, Bingu wa Mutharika. On the understand that he stands as the president, but he will dictate everything that happens because he found the party and blah, blah, blah. On the day of inauguration, Bingu does not read the speech he was given. He reads his own, and people are like, what's going on? What's going on? He reads his own speech. That was the fallout between him and number 3. So they fall out big time. He does not follow anything. He does not invite him to any meeting. And now they're talking about ousting him from the UDF party. He's saying, okay, remove me. They don't remove him. He removes himself from the party that elected him into power. He removes himself. He is in office and he forms his own political party. He forms his own political party called DPP. And that DPP, by him removing himself from the party that won the elections to forming his own became the ruling party. So the people from this, the MPs are still in UDF. They too are running away and coming to join DPP. So the other party is crying wolf to say, oh, they've crossed the floor and blah, 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 trying to go to court. But because usually whoever is in power colludes with the judiciary and the whatevers, they couldn't get anywhere to take that matter to court. That never happened. So that went on for 5 years. Come another term, he won again. And then issues started about, oh, he's this, he's that, he's a dictator. But Bingu wa Mutharika came from the diaspora. Just like Kamuzu Banda, Kamuzu came from diaspora. Number 1 came from diaspora. Number 5 also came from the diaspora. So when they come from the diaspora, like Kamuzu, telling us that do not accept if they abuse you or they discriminate you, they can't do that in this country. So Bingu was the same. Bingu was against borrowing money from these institutions we're talking about today. And he created a system and claiming that we are going to do things our own way. We're not going to be dictated about what we want to do, what we should be doing about anything. There were issues about subsidies. There were issues about devaluating money. He will refuse and not do it. So because he's not doing it, and because the opposition is over there, they will always make those issues as a wrong approach, Whatever the person in power is doing, it's a wrong approach. Why is he refusing help? Oh, he's refusing help from the West. That's very bad. Oh, the Western people have now left. There's no Western people in the country. Oh, we need them back. And he says, no, they can go. In the end, there was a dispute now between UK and Malawi, to the extent that he kicked out the ambassador and they kicked out ours here. So we didn't have that diplomatic relationship for some time. In the end, people, because they don't understand these things, they don't understand these structures, they don't understand the relationship between us and them, they blamed him. Although Malawi, because of the way he was leading Malawi was one of the fastest growing countries in Africa. Fastest growing countries in Africa, and they were calling it a breadbasket and all sorts of things. And that was carried on. The castigating of Bingu continued. One day we woke up, we had no president. He had died in his office. So he had this lady here as the vice all along. And whilst all that was going on about him being a bad person, blah, 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 he had fallen out with his vice as well, just like the ones previously. So when they fall out like that, it means the vice president does not come to work, does not do any duties, and just at home doing their own stuff, but still getting paid as a vice president. For whatever reason, they say the constitution does not allow the president to change the vice or to sack the vice or whatever. They will stay until the term ends. So you can be the whole 5 years without working, but taxpayer, all the benefits you're still getting. So by the time this guy dies, Joyce has to come back to take over because she's the vice. By default, she becomes the president. That's the time when we had the female president in Malawi. But by that time, she too has already formed her own political party by the time she's being called to take over. So by calling her to take over, it means she comes with her party and she says she's no longer in the original party she was vice to. Her party became the ruling party. So it's like a pattern repeating itself in Malawi again and again. One goes in, creates a party, the party becomes the ruling party and elected. And the MPs, she brings in her own people, replaces all the MPs that they were there before, and the country continues. So she had 2 terms to complete for Bingu. And then come elections, she lost. Oh, she's no good, she's this, she's that, she's this, she's that. She lost the elections. So Bingu's brother takes over from his brother, Bingu. Peter takes over from his brother, number 9, takes over from his brother, Bingu. At the time when Joyce was going to become the vice president, there was a contest to say she has already left, she's got her own party, she can't be the vice, his brother must take over. So there was a long fight over it. In the end, the constitution prevailed, Joyce became the president. So Peter comes, takes over, he takes over, he chooses his own Saulos, Klaus Chilima. He gets him from outside, not within his party, from outside, from one telecom company, and he becomes the vice president. As per usual, even Joyce and her vice also fallen out. The vice went and set up its own party. I don't know what this thing is about, but they all fall out, set up another political party. So here Peter brings in Saulos. They're working very well together, but obviously there'll always be opposition, and people within the party didn't like the fact that they brought somebody from outside. And they're working very well together, and they feared he might become the president. They caused them problems. In the end, certain people from the party set up a new party, and they called Saulos to become the leader. That's how Saulos leaves DPP to form his own called UTM. What is this? Oh, okay. Called UTM. So UTM is now between DPP and the party that was the biggest opposition party, MCP. Remember, Kamuzu #1, the one he set up, was always in opposition. They were never able to win against these two brothers, up to 2014 when Peter took over. So they keep winning and winning, because in my country, elections are held. You choose a president separately, then you choose the MPs separately, and then the councillors and whatnot. It's not like here where you choose the party and the party chooses the head of state. It's not like that. We have different elections specific for presidents, who will choose their vice, and then we choose MPs separately. That's why the president can just now move on, leave the party behind, set up another one. I suppose because in their minds, I was appointed by myself. The elections was for me, not everybody with everybody else. I don't know, but that's what goes on. So he's now with Klaus Chilima. They've now fallen out again. He's gone to set up his own, and so whilst he's now a bridge between this big opposition, MCP and DPP, he's kind of now dividing the votes. He's dividing the votes, 1, and 2, because he is a very clever man. So everybody is now fighting him so that they get him to join his own party, because his party is now only small. It's only small. So they want him to come to their party, and he's causing problems with all these other parties because of his policies, his ideologies. He's bringing in a lot of young people. He's telling them that what is happening in Kecha today, do not fear. You don't have to ask for permission to do demonstrations. You only have to tell them that you're doing them. So he's coming up with all sorts of ideas and what people can do, how they should fight these people who are always in power from one party to another, because the people who started with #1 are just moving from one party to the next, to the next, to the next. So they say effectively we are led by the same people, although the party names are changing. Yeah. So they fought and fought and fought. So MCP, the biggest opposition, they decided to partner with him. Well, they had elections and Peter won again. So they realized that it looks like we can't beat the Mutharika party. For whatever reason, they said the elections were rigged because they found TPEX on some papers. As to whether they changed the figures, the court decided they did not change the figures. But the fact that there were TPEX on the papers, they must have a rerun. That's when Malawi had a rerun. But when they were doing the rerun, they decided to change the rules. Not to do it the way it's been done before. They changed the law to say it's no longer first past the post. It's now majority. The one who wins must win by 50+1. Must win by 50+1, because that's what majority means. we were doing it wrong all these years. We were doing it wrong. We need to change the law. But do you change over rerun or do you change in the next election? No, we are going to change it during the rerun. So all the parties in the country can come together and contest with this guy Peter to get 50+1. To get 50+1, they must merge together and stand, but they must have one leader. The alliance will have one leader, which is MCP against Peter. So the rerun only had 2 candidates instead of the 10, 15, whatever we had before. It was only 2 candidates. So individually, Peter had more votes, but Chakwera had more votes because of the other people behind him. So he took the votes from all these other people and got 54% or something, 59%, something like that, against this one guy. So that's the government we have today. So that started. Whilst they were doing that, Saulos and Chakwera, they also had a separate agreement from what we're told, which was outside the alliance, by the 2 of them, that said, one, Chakwera will do 5 years as president, and then the next term, the vice president will become the president. I don't know how that works without elections. Oops. I don't know how that would work without elections, but that was the agreement. I don't know whether they were so sure that next term we will still win under the alliance, or I don't know how they were going to do it, but the next one, Saulos will take over. So as they start working, there's another fallout. We don't know what they're falling out about. The next thing we know, Chilima is being charged over corruption charges. He's going to court every day. He has been arrested. He can't speak anymore. He can't do any more duties. In fact, before that, he had been assigned to do a reform report, how the government can be reformed, this and that, to stop corruption. He came up with this report. It was never published. It was never implemented. From then on, he had corruption charges. And this went on for years. Finally, we had a court date, went to court. Chilima says, I want this evidence and that evidence and this evidence. Government says, no, we can't provide that evidence. It's a security breach. Or we'll try and have it, see what we can bring. Let's suspend, come back, adjourn and come back again. They came back, they said they still couldn't produce the evidence. The next thing we heard, the charges were dropped. And he has resumed his duties. So the next thing we know, oh, he's going to Korea, he's going to Tanzania, things that has never happened before. He has never gone out of the country to represent country and whatnot. All of a sudden he's going. Newspapers, media houses, what's going on, what's going on? Does this mean he has resumed duties? Why didn't the president tell us that he has now resumed? Because previously he told us that he's been suspended because corruption charges. And yet the corruption case had 85 people listed, but they took this guy only on. He's the only one that was taken to court over it. Something to do with corruption and some Indians who are Malawians and they live here in the UK. I don't know. So anyway, they've been dropped the charges. He's been to Tanzania, then he goes to Korea, only to come back to find that his lawyer has died. But before that, whilst all these corruption cases going, remember there's a dispute that has now arisen because members of Chakwera are saying Chakwera is going to stand again, and they're now saying that in public. And whilst the vice president is at the meeting, and they keep saying Chakwera is going to stand again. So Chakwera Chilima now is asking, but we agreed that I am going to, and you are going to, and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, we don't know anything about it. We don't know what he's talking about. So he's saying, no, if things have changed, we need to go back to the drawing board and end this alliance. So in the middle of it, that's when they drop the charges and he's going and he's whatnot. But from what we hear now, he was still working on ending the alliance because he's no longer going to be the president. So he comes back from Korea. He finds that his colleague, his lawyer, has been, I shouldn't say killed, but that's what people say. That's what people say, that he's been killed. So there's a funeral tomorrow. There's a funeral tomorrow. And there's a state funeral. Why is it a state funeral? We have no idea. But the police are there. They're the ones conducting the funeral, not the family members or his friends and all that. It's a state funeral. It's police everywhere, the army everywhere. This is a guy who was an attorney general for the previous governments, and they banned him from practicing. They arrested him over corruption and whatnot and whatnot. So he was not just doing private jobs for these guys behind the scenes. But because he was helping Chilima over this thing, well, that's what's alleged. He went the day before. So Chilima is now coming from Korea. No, but I'm tired. I'll take my car, I'll do this. I don't know what the arrangement was, but he ended up on this aircraft, this army aircraft, this helicopter, just on that was taking him to this funeral. He never got there. A lot of stories as to whether he got there and the plane was told to go back because of bad weather. Some are saying, no, it never even got there. Whatever. The plane is missing from 10 o'clock. We are told at 5 o'clock that the plane is missing. They can't find it. And we will start. The search has been stopped. It will start again tomorrow. People are, why are you stopping the ball? Because it's dark, because it's in a forest, because we can't find, we have no helicopter to look for it. So we've asked United Kingdom, and we've asked the United States and Israel and Germany to help us find him. And all the African countries are like, why are they going to use, not just us, South Africa, next door, Zambia, Zimbabwe, to help them. Anyway, Zambia sends one of its helicopters, retrieves the bodies, but they're all dead. There were 9 people in there. They were all dead. They're all scattered on the ground, scattered. Some from the pictures, some have no legs, some have no this, and they seem to be naked. I don't know what was going on, whether the plane took their clothes off. It's not clear. There's no fire. The plane did not burn, but it's in pieces. And it doesn't seem to be a forest. And so many questions. Then the funeral happens, and then it's declared 21 days of mourning so that people don't riot. A few riots started in his village, but they managed to defuse that. And then at the funeral, the previous Peter turns up at the funeral in his village. He wasn't coming to all these other ones that were taking place in town. But when they went for burial in his village, Peter turns up. The whole crowd erupts, going towards Peter. Oh, Daddy's here. We want you back, in the presence of all these guests, the president himself. By the time the funeral was finishing, the president himself had to be bring in more security to get him out of the place. And people are chanting towards this other one that he should come back into power. And that's what happened. So no, we want postmortem. It's already been done. We'll tell you the results. We've brought people from Germany to look what happened to the plane, to look at what happened to the bodies. People from Germany, and we haven't heard anything about the reports, and that's where we are at the moment. And but the young people, just like the Gen Zs, because they were told that it's a mourning period, which means they can't go on the streets and things like that. So they decided to do vigils. So these vigils are happening every night to this day in different cities, districts, towns, huge turnouts. They will just light candles, sing, and play his speeches and play his prayers. He prayed a lot. And also the funeral itself, it was a state funeral, and we were told that the defense, I think Minister of Defense is the one conducting the funeral, so which means other people can't be doing what they want. So his party members said, no, we want an input in the funeral. And in fact, we want it at this place and at that place. You need to cancel your program. We want it at this place. We want it at that place. Remember, he has a younger membership. So these members are saying, no, we want it like this, like that. And we don't want certain ministers at that party. These are the ministers they assumed did the job. So we don't want them there, and we don't want this, we don't want that. Unfortunately, also, Chidima was a very prayerful person, was a Catholic, belonged to the Catholic Church. And you know, Catholic is very powerful. It's actually very powerful in my country. Before this happened, they had written their pastoral letter to the government to say they're not running it properly, they need to change, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so the Catholic Church took over the funeral because they didn't want the defense people to just control everything to the extent that the members of the public cannot take part, and the church. So they were at every stage. They would do mass here, mass there, mass here, mass there. Wherever he goes next, mass here, mass there, until he was buried. And in the process, some priests started saying what they think about the whole thing. They would be arrested. People started saying what they think might have happened. They would be arrested. The more they arrested, the more people created videos about it. The more people created videos about it. So at the moment, it's just I think I skipped all these other ones. Have I still got time? I can't hear you.
Brother Kwame.
That is a good question, Sister Achizomo. It's a good question. The time is 23 past 8. Is there anything else you want us to know before we have any ask questions?
This bit was just about how the country is actually affected by all this neocolonialism and whatnot. But basically, it's the same as in all these other countries. Like I said, the democracy system, the electoral system, all these things. When you look at it, you wonder whether even the party system is appropriate for governing us. Because previous we had our kings and chiefs and whatnot, and it's conflicting with these new systems. It's conflicting. We used to have, when Kamuzu was alive, because of the independence, every Independence Day, the whole country from north to south, every tribe district would send a cultural group to come and dance. So the whole day you would be watching a dance from this tribe, a dance from the... So we knew what dances is from which tribe and how they dress, how they dance. They would accommodate them in town. It always took place in Blantyre, in town, and they would accommodate them in all different schools. At night, we would go, it would run for 1 week. We would go and watch them dance at night, and then we'd go to the stadium. We did youth rally, which was taught by the Israel people. They would come and teach us how to do gymnastics and all sorts of things. But all that is gone, because when parties are contesting, they are funded by all sorts of people. Like I said, the situation between Bingu and all these other guys. So these other guys, because this one is not a puppet, they want a puppeting. They want a puppeting, because the other puppet has brought in somebody who is not a puppet. It's causing a lot of problems. Oh, they've gone, the white people are gone, oh, they're not helping us anymore. We need them back. Joyce comes, oh, I've brought them all back. They've given us money. They've given us this. They've given us that. And in the meantime, oh, we're going to have handouts. Oh, older people will be getting this much. And they're not telling them how to look after themselves as go and farm and things like that. So they will be saying, oh, we hear it over here. The markets want Sunak. The markets want this one. The markets want that one. These are all the companies we mentioned, these block companies and all these agencies.
Yeah, so Brother Pigeon is going through the PDF for you. So Brother Pigeon, scroll down. Let's see.
The legal system itself. I don't know what's going on. It's so difficult to apply.
Yeah, talk a little about the education system, because I am an educator, so I'm interested in that. I'm sure other politicians.
Yeah, so let me do the legal system.
So
we've got this legal system.
One. Do the education one.
Yeah, it's linked. So the education, the legal system is a difficult one to apply. That's why the legal system doesn't work. So it's only used by politicians and the elite people. The ordinary people don't have access to it. Before that, before Camus went and we had this democracy kick in. The moment democracy kicked in, they abolished all the traditional courts. We used to have traditional courts. So anybody could go to these courts free of charge. They were in proper buildings. It wasn't even in a village. They would invite all these chiefs to come and hear these cases. And people would go marriage ending, divorces and whatnot, land issues. They would do that. Come democracy, they were told to abolish all these courts. So ordinary people have no access to courts or anything. Come education. During Kamuzu, we only had one university called Malawi University with a few colleges, which are about 3 colleges, agriculture college and some business one and whatever else. And again, for the legal education, they'd only take people. And you have to be selected to go to university, to this one university. All these secondary schools you have in the country, you write exams, Malawi education, something certificate at Form 4, then you get selected to. And all the people who were going were the ones with names. And I hear, because we would write in primary school at standard 8, year 8, you'd have to be selected to go to secondary school. So what people who knew that how problematic the system is, they knew how to play it. So I understand you have to relocate from your district to go to a certain district because they don't take people from this side because of their tribe and whatnot. So they have to move their children to another district. When they get to that district, what's your name? Oh, you can't have that. My friend literally told me, my teacher told me, you can't use that name. You cannot go anywhere. You need to change it. So from now on, your name is so-and-so. Your name is so-and-so to be selected to go to secondary school. Come secondary school, again, the number still dwindling, then the few end up in university. That's what used to happen. And then come Bingu, people started setting up their own university schools, secondary schools and universities. The University of Malawi said, we don't recognize those universities. Any qualifications from those universities, you cannot practice in this country. So the rest of us will come here to come and do what we have to do. And then we were also told, if you study over there, you cannot practice here. You cannot practice here. So you were stuck. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, so Brother Pidgey is now moving the current situation. It's almost half past. It's interesting.
Current is the one I just explained earlier. Okay. I think current situation now, like I said, there's all this. So now that Chidima is gone, the question was, the young ones are saying he was processing coming out of the alliance. So we need to end it now. We need to end it now. So they are carrying placards to their vigil prayer meetings. They are carrying this. They are begging the executive meeting to end this alliance. But by that time, Because MCP is aware that there is a plane. That's the plane there.
Yeah.
That's the forest. That's the forest.
Yeah, thank you. What you could do then, just summarize for us so that we can follow it up with questions.
So the alliance needs to end. So they had an emergency meeting yesterday. They held an emergency meeting yesterday, called their lawyers to their meeting, and they agreed the alliance must end today. So they ended it yesterday, finally. So now
what happens next?
Exactly. So the other party, which is now hanging without this guy, without this party, now has to work out how they're going to go to elections on their own and blah, blah, blah. But before that happened, they quickly took the vice president to replace the vice president of the country. So the party is not happy that the guy accepted to become the vice president. He shouldn't have accepted it.
Which guy?
The vice president, Tuchirima, became the vice president of the country.
Yes.
So the idea is to keep the party still in the alliance. But yesterday they said we don't want the alliance.
The alliance.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Thank you. So Chilima's party is full of young people. From what
Very young people. The pigeons are all there.
Thank you. One could say that Brother Pigeon should get his party ready. Somebody was saying that. I think somebody was saying that the young people. I think Brother Gonza was saying that the young people somebody must bring them together. Maybe this is a job for Brother Pigeon's party to get the young people, to organize the young people. Anyway, thank you very much, Sister Chizomo, for your presentation. Very, very. It's as if you were there when all these things happened.
Well, I was, and I'm always online watching what. That's all I watch. I only watch about my own country.
And that's what I'm saying. It's as if you were there when.
So I'm up to date with what happens. I grew up there. I was educated there until I came here.
Yeah.
And
you don't know why the president and vice presidents always quarrel, but when they started quarreling, you were
it's just a power struggle.
Yeah, you were not far away seeing them quarreling, but you don't know what they were quarreling about.
No,
thank you very much.
They don't tell us.
Yeah, at this point, you'll have to be quiet so that you hear the questions, and then you answer them and try and answer them briefly. Because I know you're a lecturer like me. You can't stop talking like
rumble
me.
Rumble on.
So listen to the questions and then answer them. But before I go to the hands that are up, I want to bring Brother Pigeon in. Brother Pigeon, from what you have heard, compared to Kenya, I mean, it sounds like what do you think?
Basically, I think that has always been the system has been the same, just the change of the people within the system. So as you see, all are almost within the same system, and it becomes very hard to. There's political issues here, doing with assassination or trying to plot against each other. But at the end of the day, even if one goes out, it's just the next crop of the other same group coming in. So it's very hard to admit in between these systems as it appears over here by Malawi going it over a period of time. But it shows also a capture of a system in one way or the other. People do call it in Kenya deep state or system, something like that. It's almost the same thing.
The question. I mean, the question that kept cropping up in my mind is, where is the AU in all of these things? And the African Union is meant to help. Anyway, let's hear. Let's Sister Chizomo.
All these Gen Zs are supposed to go to AU with their complaints.
Yeah, Sister Chizomo, let's hear the questions and then you can come answer them, brother. Let me ask Sister Ida first, because ladies first, and then I'll come to Brother Joseph. Sister Ida, your question or comment?
Okay. I have. I was wondering if Brother Pigeon could find us a map of Malawi so we could see who their neighbors are and stuff like that, just so we know where we are exactly.
So Chizomo can tell
And
you.
then I wanted
their
to
neighbors.
ask.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go on. Sister
Then I
Chizomo
wanted
can
to
tell you
ask.
who their neighbors are. Yeah,
Eh?
carry on.
Well, you being rude to Sister Chimoza, saying that she had to be quiet to listen and
No,
then
I'm
listen
saying,
to you.
no, I'm saying that she knows all the countries that surround them. Mm. Yeah,
Okay,
carry
I'm
on.
sure she
Carry
does,
on.
but we don't.
So
Okay, and
carry
then
on.
I wanted to answer question 8. There were a few questions, right? What did the first president, how come he suddenly managed?
Sister Ida, can you ask the most important question on your list for you so that we can hear others as well, yeah? If you don't mind me saying so.
I'm not going to keep going. I just want to answer a few things because she shared with us something. I couldn't understand how the first president managed to get out of office. Because you didn't say he died or anything, but he seemed to always be
the very first one.
Yeah, the very first one.
The second one collaborated with the army to get everybody out of office. It was like a coup almost.
Aha, okay. I couldn't quite
so they arrest him,
out
they put him under house arrest, and then all the institutions stopped them, the army, and then did the referendum for the public to say we no longer want a life president, we want multi-party. So referendum wins, then multi-party starts. So the guy who engineered all that brings his party, and they win the election.
Okay, thank you. And then you seem to go from number 7 to number 9, and I didn't quite work out what was happening with number 8.
Okay.
So that would be the ones I wanted to answer.
That's how he comes into power. But remember that person is also coming from the government that he toppled. I think he was the party secretary or whatever in that party. So he too defects.
Thank you. Sachizomo, looking at the map on the screen, it looks like you're all one people. Mozambicans, Malawians, Tanzanians, and Malawians, Zambians, you're all just one people. It's the borders that are the
problem. Because remember we were what did they call us? Confederation of something under the white rule, and then we became a southern and northern Rhodesia, and we were central Rhodesia or something like that. And then when independence then splits us to where we're at now.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Brother Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you. As far back in 1981, I was in a forum with a pastor from Malawi in the city of Edmonton, and he had explained that there was economic problem in Malawi, and that led to many men leaving. So there was a shortage of men married, and he said there was some agreement between the church and the Muslim authority for allow like the Catholics were supposed to marry only one person, but the women, because the women always wanted to have a husband, they allowed them to be part of maybe polygamy. Is that still in practice? That's one. Then secondly,
yeah, the Muslims still do that. In fact, the president number 1 was because he's coming from here. He's coming with Church of Scotland with him when they do all the Queen thing that they were doing at the time. Church of Scotland. So we still have that. We still have Church of Scotland, but they call it CCAP and whatnot. But it's still there. The guy who then took over from him, who toppled him, was a Muslim. When he went into power, he brought with him 4 wives.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing about it was interesting at the time when I heard that the church had agreed with the Muslim hierarchy that they could allow the women to be married because it said a woman didn't want to be on her own. So
yeah, Brother Joseph,
I want to finish answering the question.
Interfering in our affairs. Yes, please do.
Yeah, the other thing, the question is the role of Israel. I mean, sometime early on this year, last year, or early on this year, we saw that some Malawian 300 or so was shipped to Egypt. I mean, also Israel, to work, to replace maybe the tribe or those people who had left because of the conflict there. And what do you know about this? The role of Israel?
There is a program. There is a program, like Ruto keeps saying, I am going to find you employment in Germany. We're going to send in 500,000 people to go to Germany. They're all doing it. Ours is sending his to Israel to go and learn farming. And yet in the country, we are told, we are introducing mega farms. Mega farms will teach people, will produce economy, will produce food, will produce. So why are you sending the kids to Israel to learn and not put them in the mega farms? Why don't you give them the land to have their own mega farms and all this? Who owns these mega farms in Malawi? He's just done a video promoting this mega fund. It came out yesterday, mega farm thing. Who owns these mega farms? It's themselves.
And then finally, because I know I can't take all the time, when you talk about what somebody asked what the OAS, I mean the AU doing, we could ask the same thing: what the OAS, what the OAS meaning the Organization of American States, or what CARICOM is doing when it comes to the Caribbean, to Haiti, and so on. It's similar pattern. It's imperialism. Neocolonialism.
And I think the Gen Zs should now, as they are asking IMF, should now ask AU. In their constitution, they have a bit that says, I can't remember what they call it, but there's a court system in there. What does it do? For who?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brother Joseph, for your insightful questions. Brother Coco. Question and comment, whichever, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Shisomo, for an insightful presentation. I was in Mangochi some time ago.
Hey!
Yes.
My favorite city.
Yes. So what I am wondering to myself is, when will the youth in Malawi agitate to break down Malawi and join either Zambia or Mozambique or the African Union? What? I mean, me coming from the suit, you will ask me the same question, I guess, but it's the same question. I will ask you, why is Malawi still independent when it's that small country there and their bigger neighbors who together we can create something bigger?
Well, sometimes I say to myself, at the pace Malawi is going and looking outside instead of inside. When I say inside, I mean Africa. Instead of looking inside, always in the UK, in the US, in the whatever. How will they have that work, even within SADC? I gave an example of that plane, that helicopter thing. The first stop was UK, US, Germany, Israel, and not South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. You know, in the end, Zambia came through. So I think when they go to places like US, UN, the idea is money. They're going to give us money for this project. That's my assumption.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Follow up then. I think the one thing you haven't quite elaborated on is the influence of the Church of Scotland in Malawi. You mentioned that Kamuzu came from here, from abroad, but you haven't really mentioned what the church has done to the Malawians, and especially Kamuzu, because Kamuzu supported apartheid. In fact, Kamuzu was against Kwame Nkrumah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
But Kamuzu came through Ghana. So who was he working with in Ghana?
It's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Brother Coco, it's interesting you say that, because
Ghana
Banda
that
Kamuzu,
our independence.
In fact, as it's chosen, Banda Kamuzu and Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya, Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, and the others, they all left Manchester in 1945 to fight for the independence of their colonial territories. So I'll be wondering how, Brother Koko, I'm referring to your comment, how it is a case that he was against Nkrumah.
We were doing it together in Ghana. He then came to Malawi when everything has been finalized.
Yes, and when he got there, the frontline states were against the apartheid regime in South Africa, but he, the only one, he supported apartheid in South Africa.
Okay,
South Africa, he did, yes. In South Africa, he did.
That is interesting. But you'll be interested to know also that one of the leading opposition person in Ghana also supported apartheid against Kwame Nkrumah. Anyway, let's hear from Sister Mera. Sister Mera? Oh, your line is very weak, Sister Myra. I don't know, where are you? Your internet is. We can't hear you. We can't hear you talk. Can you try again?
Can you hear me?
Try again. Try again.
I'm at home, but I
something.
think I have a connection.
Yeah, try. Okay, you ask your question. It might just come through.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Not very well. Are you able to type it into the
yeah,
chat?
it's okay. Bad connection.
Yeah, type into the chat. Brother Ambassador Simpson Yajo, please. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. My question is, how are you thinking about breaking the chain that Malawi is presently going through to have a Pan-African government there? What are the actions that you are planning to put in place?
To have a what?
Pan-African government.
Yeah, to have a Pan-African, because we are looking at African unity. We are looking at African unity until we have a Pan-African government in all institutions, in all African countries, that we can achieve this. That is how I think about it. So what are the actions that
until people understand that we can stand on our own, and everybody in the country will tell you, oh, Bingu was a good guy, he did this, he didn't want all that. If everybody understood that and stopped looking outward to the West, that would be the beginning.
Sorry, do you mean in Malawi, to Ambassador's question, or the whole of Africa? Which one are you?
I mean,
well, he asked about Malawi. So the young ones are now beginning to understand that they're no good for us. In fact, one bit I skipped was that, a pigeon said, oh, in Kenya, we have information, internet is cheap, and da-da-da. Countries like Malawi, the Gen Zs haven't got that luxury. So they are starved of information. They don't understand things because they don't have access to information. So what's happening now is people are setting up all these little YouTube channels. I don't know how they're setting up. It looks like somebody's setting them up from outside. And most of our YouTubers are not in the country. But again, they are able to collect as much information as possible. So they are talking about it and educating them. And you can see the comments in these videos. Oh, thank you very much. If it wasn't for you, we would be so ignorant. You are teaching us our own history. Our history is not taught in the country. So that's what we don't know it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ambassador, I think the answer is that with more education, the Malawans will also rise to the occasion. Thank you, Sister Chizo. Sister Tapoa, come in, please. You need to unmute yourself, and yeah.
Yes. My hope of unity in the region has to do with the people, because for Malawi and Mozambique and Zambia and Zimbabwe, there was the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland.
That's the one.
Which included Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. And the capital city was Salisbury, which is now Harare. So what we have within the region is an integration of people. If you go to any one of the 4 countries that I've mentioned, Mozambique, Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, you will not find any person who is not, who doesn't qualify to be a Jew or citizen. Or so.
Sister Tapua is the same across the continent. Ghana is the same. Ivory Coast is the same. Yeah, same across the entire continent.
So what I'm saying is, the people are ready to unite. It's the leaders who are fighting for position. Because when we're talking about how Kamuzu disagreed with Nkrumah's ideas, it was always to do with their position, the leaders' positions, not the people's positions.
No.
Because that's where my hope lies. Because, for example, Mozambique was trying to register people for elections. And a lot of the people in the eastern provinces of Zimbabwe are registered as Mozambicans with IDs of Mozambique.
Do you know, I heard that's
Mozambicans,
what's happening in Malawi. They're bringing in people from outside.
Because the borders don't exist. I've got an aunt of mine who's got her field in Mozambique. That's where she grows her crops. The border hardly exists. So there's this thing about, for example, my heritage is from Mozambique.
Me too.
When Zimbabwe is trying to write its history, they're making sure that we understand that we're not part of Zimbabwe. But with now 3 or 4 generations in Zimbabwe. My husband is Malawian. His parents came here through the federation, and there are now 3 generations, but we still go to Malawi as home. So
I was born in Zimbabwe.
Right. Yes. So the differences are not about the people. People cross the border without passports because the Mozambique Zimbabwean border does not exist. One of the crossing points is maybe 350 kilometers from the other. There was a hilarious situation where a Zimbabwean had gone across to Mozambique to do shopping because that's where the nearest shop is. Unfortunately, they were involved in a car accident. And people, because they're related, just decided to ferry his body across the river. And the government got involved. And the people were saying, we were not going to carry this person 300 miles down to the crossing point, process papers, bring them 300 miles back home when we can see that this person is 3 miles from home across the border, which does not exist. So the whole thing is mad, especially for, at least I can speak about my region. So it's just the politics.
It's nonsensical.
It's absolutely nonsensical.
We do that with Tanzania as well. The shop is in
Thank
Tanzania,
you.
the house is in Malawi.
Sister Chizomo, Sister Chizomo, your final comments before we... Sister Tapua, thank you very much. The time is 6 minutes to 9.
No,
we
like we say, the problem...
Sister Tapua, thank you so much.
The problems...
For showing,
the
Sister
problems,
Chizomo, your final comments.
Yeah, the problems we are all going through are the same. But our leaders seem to be going in their own direction. And they didn't need to understand, which is what has happened in Malawi today, that the young people are more organized, they mobilize easily. They have a stronger, they have a powerful, they are more powerful, if I put it that way. If the elders can understand that the larger population is the young people than the older generation, let these people in. Let them in.
Thank you very much, Sister Chizomo, for your final comments. Brother Sam from South Africa, or no, Brother Ras, will tell you that it wasn't the older people who fought apartheid and won it. It is the younger people. It's the young people that started the Soweto riots, was started by children who did not recognize tribal divisions. They work together as one force. Thank you very much for such an eye-opening session with us on Malawi. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In the future have similar sessions on individual countries going forward. So thank you very much.
Get arrested.
Brother, sorry? You won't be arrested.
Get arrested, you know.
Nobody saw your face, so you're fine. Brother Pigeon, any announcements?
Yeah, and not so far. I just want to appreciate the presentation, and it's a clear, practical example of what's going on in the continent. I want to say that we'll be still having our session next Saturday. That's our philosophy class. There's a Kiswahili class on every Tuesday. We are still also working on the Pan-African Technical Working Groups committees, doing some review and some documentation that are necessary. And soon we'll be calling out to various Pan-African organizations that are dealing with various specific thematic areas, education and whatever, to come on board to see how we can now start working towards having common framework for either education, common continental framework for health, like that, so that in 1 year time we can be able to produce that common framework, even if it's a constitution, a common continental constitution, that then we can put for advocacy and implementation in the next coming year. So that's where we are moving as a class, and we do appreciate those who have spent their time on this. Our project on Haiti is still also ongoing, and we are looking forward to, if it's possible, we can have some games and activities in regards to standing in solidarity with the Haiti. Having said that, I'd like to say that next Saturday we will be looking at it, even though we have some lines on already what we need to work on, but I will share specific details based on the preparation of the presenters.
What is planned for next Saturday?
Oh, no, already we have to check with the
pipeline.
Yeah, we have to check with Sister if she will be able to do a presentation before we bring that up, but Nadema Fole to finish the part 3 of his presentation.
Is that Sister Nancy from the US? No?
Yeah, Sister Nancy was supposed to do, she's supposed to do a presentation, but also we have still the Dema Fole presentation readiness that we need to transition to second session, and we have other presentations that on the age of candidacy that we discuss on democracy, age of voting. So there's a lot of some things to line up for us to discuss. And anybody who wants to share any presentation, feel free to get in touch so that we can list it and have it ready.
Thank you. Brother Sam, you have any final comments? South Africa. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, my brothers. I just wanted to comment about the issue of the youth. I think we all know that the youth, yes, are there to spearhead and run with the revolution. But I think everywhere we have noted that the youth alone cannot do this. In fact, they need to be galvanized around a certain. That's why I was worried about the Kenyan youth uprising now. It ends if there's no political harnessing it. There's a problem in South Africa. The June 16, everybody knows, or most people don't know, that the PAC leadership was found to be actually the people who orchestrated, planned, and actually led the June 16 uprising. They were in South Africa. You've got what they call the Bethel 18 political trial, which was the longest one in South Africa. But it was all based on the 18 members of the PAC and Azanian People's Organization who were charged with that uprising of 1976. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Brother Glenroy, any greetings from Zanzibar?
Greetings. It's greetings.
Greetings. Yeah, thank you. Still in Zanzibar, brother?
Yes, my brother.
Okay.
It was interesting hearing. It was interesting hearing the history on the continent. I listened very carefully. I would love to have heard more. And my sister, I hope we can hear some more from you at some point as things develop. Within the Sunday International, we do hope to, when things are a bit clearer in Kenya, do something on that. Right. But also, I think what our sisters reported today could form part of that discussion around changes on the continent that we should pay attention to. So thank you, my sister.
Yeah. So, Brother Glenroy, if you would like Sister Chizomo to present to Sand International, we can forward her details to you, and you can invite her to share on Malawi.
Would be very grateful. You would be good if you can explain to our sister what it's about. I'm not sure she's on our mailing list. But once again, thank you.
Thank you. The time is 9, and our session is officially coming to an end. Our brother Joseph, his hand is up, so let's hear Brother Joseph, and then we'll bring.
Yeah, two things quickly. Although Brother Sam is there, I think we should really have a session on post-election South Africa and what is happening. I'm very concerned.
Right, Sam, did you hear that? Yeah, go on, Brother Joseph.
There have been an attack on the EFF, and there's a lot of implication now. There's allegation about. Anyway, that will be discussed. I just also want to inform people that next the 21st of July, and at 6 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time, we will have basically a webinar looking at planetary and the planetary and climate crisis. And we have a sister from Uganda and someone from Trinidad, Brazil, and myself would be discussing that. So we invite people who could make it. We know time difference is an issue, but maybe next week I could say a little more about that in the report and in the news part of it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. This is the end. This is the end of today's session. We thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, good night, wherever you are. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you for